Malolele, everyone. We welcome you to another episode of the Polynesian Ice Podcast. Today, we're excited. A lot of people have been asking for when Tevita Fale would return to the program. And welcome, Dad. How are you? And how are things in Utah right now?
Oh, it's kind of cool here for me, coming from Hawaii. It's cold outside.
Yep. I mean, that's why I don't live in Utah anymore, Dad. I moved to Texas to get away from the cold weather. Sounds like you were in Hawaii. You've been in paradise, so Utah is actually probably extra cold right now.
Really, I really feel it. Your mom coming here. The Thanksgiving, it was nice to see everybody. But when it's night come, it's different.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know we're trying to get you set up in Hawaii, and hopefully we'll get once we get your quote unquote studio set up in Hawaii, we can do more regular programs. When you are in Hawaii, we were lucky to catch you while you're in Utah before you head back to Hawaii tomorrow. But really excited to have you. I know today you really want to focus on the origins of our ancestors. And there's a lot of conversations online right now. Did you go and see the new Moana movie at all, Dad?
No, only
Okay.
Nina and we went and see the other movies, me and your mom.
Oh, what movie did you guys go watch?
Ako tuwag lahi mai tai mini TV.
Oh, you're talking about the Gladiator?
Yeah.
The new Gladiator movie?
Yeah.
Oh.
It is. I really like it, but it's a lot of blood.
A lot of blood. Well, the reason why I bring up the Moana movie is I haven't seen it yet. I was going to take the kids. Chelsea and I were going to take the kids yesterday. But after we saw the price of the tickets, because there's a lot of us, we are a big group, and we were like, oh, Yahweh, if it's almost $200 and that doesn't even include popcorn and drinks, it's like, oh, we just wait to buy it on Amazon. But I brought it up because in the Moana movie, they push heavily there's a Lapita pottery kind of scenes where they reference the pottery. They also talk about our origins coming from Southeast Asia and Melanesia. So I think this is a good time to have the topic that you want to talk about, the Lapita and the Austronesian idea as the origin of the Polynesian culture and civilization. So wherever you want to start with Lapita or Austronesian, but kind of give the background on what your thoughts on those two ideas.
The reason why I really like to talk about these two words, Lapita and Austronesian, the language, they think that's where we come from, Taiwan, and use these two names. And we talked about the Lapita before. Lapita is a mistake. Expeda, that's the word, where to dig a hole. But not Lapita is our people or origin. Because Lapita is a total wrong mistake the American
archaeologists
make, because there's no, we look up before the Lapita. That his mistake, because it's not the Lapita, that's expeda. That is mean where to dig a hole. It's not, there's no connection at all between the clay pot and Lapita. A lot of our people, Polynesian, got their degrees on Lapita, and like what you're saying, they mentioned in the Moana, Lapita is a mistake and no one questioned.
So it's a mistake as in, they thought I guess it's a Solomon Island name, a Solomon Island name.
No, that's
New Caledonia.
Yeah, New Caledonia.
Yeah, so I guess what happened when the people from New Caledonia said dig here, he thought that meant that's the name of the people in that area, or why is it a mistake?
I don't know why the American write it down expeda and Lapita. There's no connection at all. And I hate to hear how people got PA, master degree, and a lot of doctor degrees on Lapita.
And so I guess their idea then is because they found Lapita, older Lapita in Melanesia and coming from Asia, and they found it in Tonga, Samoa, and Fiji, they say, oh, okay, because of that, that's where these people came from.
Yeah, all people make Lapita pot too.
Yes. And actually, one of the studies I read that a lot of the Lapita that they found in the different areas was from soil, right? They made the soil and turned, or the clay from local sources and made the pots in Tonga as well.
Yeah.
In Nukuleka. I think when they did the Nukuleka excavations, they found that.
Yeah, they think that's one of the oldest, but like the Hokula,
Mm-hmm.
Cholula and Hokula, that's a peaceful place for them to start from, where
Okay.
one of the first settlement when they get in Tonga.
One idea is they just follow where the pottery shards go, and then they say, okay, that's where the Polynesians could have come from. The other one is the language, right? Which is also what you wanted to talk about, the Austronesian languages. And
Yeah.
what about the Austronesian language that you wanted to talk about and kind of share with the listeners and the viewers?
To bring Austronesian language to support, put it together with Lapita to support where we come from. But Austronesian language, there's no connection at all, because Austronesian language, it's come Latin words, and Latin words is Oster, that means south, and Austronesian is a Greek word, Nessos,
Yeah, to mean island.
island. To bring tools from Asia, and to support it, we come for the language, we put it together with Lapita. They both, but that's a German guy wrote that.
Who gave those that the Austronesian name?
Yes.
So, if I understand correctly, what you're saying is, how is it are we going to say this is where our people come from? But the two ideas, one is Lapita, which is a incorrect understanding of the word expeta, which means dig here, and somehow we're going to name that idea of origins from misunderstanding of the word expeta or Lapita. And then the other one, to explain our origin, is a Latin and a Greek word to explain the origins of Polynesians, rather than saying
Coming from Taiwan.
Yeah, coming from Taiwan. So basically, we're using a mistaken word and foreign words to explain the origin of our people. Is that kind of your idea of that doesn't make sense to you?
Yeah. To bring something total different, they don't connect Latin language and the Greek words. Two words and use it to support Lapita. I don't like to hear that.
What word would you say is the origin of Polynesian people?
I know Polynesians mean many islands. To me, there's a new word, but it's fit in.
Yeah.
When you bring a horse and connect it with a cow, to me, anybody
Doesn't make
look
sense.
at it, they understand they don't relate to each other.
Well, and I think also, especially when there's a lot of oral history that explains our origins, right? We have, I understand why we use Polynesian, because we speak English and it's a description of the islands. But when we speak about a origin place, we already have words for those places, right? Like Vaihi. We don't need Lapita, we don't need Austronesian, these foreign words and foreign ideas to explain something that our oral history already has a name for.
And we have it for more than 3,000 years about Vaihi. And we name places in Tonga, Samoa, Hawaii, Tahiti, Cook Island, All these islands, they have a name connect to Vaihi.
Besides New Caledonia, can we find Lapita or Austronesia in those islands?
For someone to tell me they are connect and use it for our origin, history, why they don't use anything from our oral history? It's more
Mhm.
than 3,000 years. Why they bring something don't relate to our history to make it to become our origin history? That's why I hate to hear these things. That's why I question it. To say we come from Taiwan and bring something from Leiden in total different part of the world to maybe I am stupid, but I can't believe that.
Well, I mean, especially, I mean, you come up with a new word when there's nothing to describe it, right? But what they're trying to say, I guess maybe what they're trying to say is our people don't know where we come from, so we have to give them a name for where they come from. That's, I mean, that's why you would come up with a new word, right?
Yeah,
Is they would say, is if you think, oh, you don't know where you come from, you don't have a name for where you come from, so we will give you a name. That's what you would do when you find something new and there's no name for it, you give it a name. I guess from my perspective, it's two things. They look down on our oral history and say our oral history doesn't make sense and they don't want to believe it. Or two, they don't know anything about the oral history and so they came up with their own words and definitions.
like I said, they think we're stupid. We don't know our history, but we have it for 3,000 years. Maui and Tangaloa, that's our oral history. They never mention anything about Maui and Tangaloa. That's our
Mm,
forefather.
yeah. I mean, they don't talk about Maui and whether Maui brought the Lapita or if Maui spoke Austronesian. They just say, oh, this is where you come from. So I guess they listen and hear Maui and Tangaloa and just think, oh, fake news.
My uncle, the elect president of America, is right. Fake news. And I feel sorry about all our educated historian. They proud of their degree from something not connect with us.
And so what we were thinking about is maybe looking at one of your articles that has some of the ideas and the words that are connected to our origin, right? And we'll start
Yeah.
with Vaihi, and then I'll just kind of read through the summary you have in your article, and then you can add anything else you want to add to it. So the first one is Vaihi. Ancient Tongan oral history states that the founding fathers of the ancient Tongan Empire that ruled throughout Polynesia came from a faraway land called Vaihi. Those who dispute this oral history are those who never had access to this treasured oral knowledge. Vaihi is the Americas. Countless sources and evidence confirm the Americas as Vaihi. Several locations throughout Tonga and Polynesia carry the name Vaihi to remember the Polynesians' original motherland.
They don't think to come study our oral history. Just come up with something total different. We have eyes, we have an oral history for more than 3,000 years. Why they don't look at our history? Why they come up with the language no connects to our language? And the same thing with the Lapita. They bring something expeta. It's not Lapita. It used to be Lapita pottery. Now we are Lapita people. And we have to speak up to let
Yeah.
them know we know our history. Go write your own history, where you come from. Leave our history to us because we know our history. They look down on us.
There is an idea out there, and actually, Savai'i, because some people in the oral history throughout Polynesia say we come from Vaihi, and some people say that means Hawaii. Some people say that's Savai'i in Samoa. So, from your position, Vaihi is America, so Savai'i and Hawaii are named after Vaihi, referencing the
Yeah,
motherland, correct?
yes, because like I said, in Tonga, there's two Vaihi in Tonga. Tonga Tapu, one Vaihi. in Hapai, there's two Vaihi over there. Niue, there's a Vaihi over there. See, in Samoa, Vaihi over there, that's the main island of Samoa, Savai'i. And Cook Island and Tahiti Island, they have a Vaihi over there. When they found Hawaii, they called the main island Vaihi. This is Hawaii today. That's what I don't understand, why they bring something total different. Two foreigners' language, put it together to become our language. What's wrong with the Vaihi? That's what our people have it for 3,000 years. I just want the people to hear we know our history. We are not stupid.
Yeah. I think a lot of people just think, oh, there's only one answer to our origins, and that's what the academic people have come up with. I don't think a lot of people realize that our ancestors had that knowledge and it was being shared with their descendants for thousands of years. The next one here is Ata. Says this is the name of the island that the founding fathers from Vaihi first landed on after they left Vaihi over 3,000 years ago. These solid ancient oral historical facts have lasted the test of time, despite the efforts of foreign academia not only to reject but to erase this origin from Tonga and Polynesia. So Ata, which is south of Tongatapu, that's where Maui, Tangaloa, and Taulas first landed in Ata before they came to Tongatapu, correct?
The high priest. But the meaning of Ata is first arrival.
Okay, that's the meaning of Ata. Ata means first arrival.
Yeah.
Next one here is Tongatapu. This is the second island the ancient founding fathers landed on after they left Vaihi. The place of original landing in Tonga was considered a holy place and was named after a religious location in Vaihi called Cholula. The name Hokula remained throughout the ages in Tonga.
Yeah, and they have stars and they have names. The one of the island in Tonga where they have the Tofua Island.
Oh, they have the port, the wharf there, the wafu?
Called Hokula.
And that's in
Hapai.
In Hapai?
Ata. And they also have a star at Tongan astronomy is called Hokula. But the main meaning of Hokula is a safe place.
A safe place.
Yeah.
Okay. This is kind of in the Halariku area, right? Where they first landed.
Yeah. From Halariku.
So right here. Yeah. So in between Haasini and Fatumu, next to the Ole Beach area.
Yeah. Ole Beach. Run over there.
Okay.
That's where most of the name connect to America is over there. That's where they first landing.
So we'll revisit the term Hokula or Cholula again. This is one of the most ancient names and towns in Vaihi that has existed for several thousands of years throughout North and South America. Several areas in Tonga are associated with the name Hokula. The first landing place and settlement of the ancient founders of the Tongan and Polynesian Empire on Tongatapu is named Hokula. The ancient port of Tonga on Tofua is called Hokula. There is also a star named Hokula as part of the ancient Tongan astronomical knowledge for navigation. So Cholula or Hokula is a very special and recognized name in Vaihi and out throughout Polynesia.
As around over there, they have few names connect to Vaihi, include Ahau. They first settled over there and they divided 3 places. One in Hihifo, that's where the Taula, the high priest, live. Tangaloa family live in where Folaha and the Maui
in Lotolangi.
In Lotolangi, and where Maui live at the east side.
I have this picture right here. So Lotolangi, this is where Tangaloa lived. And then Pulotu to the west is where the high priest went. And then Lolo or Lalo Fonua to the east is where Maui went.
Yeah.
And the next one is, like you mentioned, the term Ahau. The name Ahau comes from the Mayan language. This name was associated with high priests and kings in ancient Mayan culture. Once again, many areas and people throughout Tonga carry this name. The ancient Tu'itonga line in Tonga still carries the title of Ahau to this day. What's the association of Ahau with the Tu'itonga?
The name, the importance of Ahau, because it's like he mentioned earlier, Ahau is a high priest or king.
Is that where the term how comes from?
Yeah.
When they say go how, it comes from the term Ahau.
There's a town called Ahau, and a few places named Ahau, and people carry the name Ahau. The first Christian king of Tonga, Taufa Ahau, he was really sick when he was young. And they take him to find something to cure him, and they bring it to the high priest in Moa, Kautai, and Kautai cure him. And later he become Taufa Ahau. He carried the name of the high priest home.
So that's kind of I don't know if you want to say ironic or whatever, but Ahau being associated with Vaihi and the high priest and the old religion, and Tupo the first being cured by the high priest of the Tu'itonga, and that ends up being the child or the man that allows Tonga to keep its independence and has that name Ahau that's tied to Vaihi. So it's kind of interesting how history works its way to helping Tonga maintain its independence.
Taufa Ahau, when in the 1800, when European start to claim the empire, Tongan Empire, Taufa Ahau asked God, Hikureo, God of Pulotu, the spiritual world. Taufa Ahau asked him, the God, Hikureo, to save Tonga. Hikureo brought Maui and Tangaloa and high priests from America, from Vaihi, to the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
And when the Europeans start to claim the Tongan Empire, Taufa Ahau asked Hikureo or Jehovah to save Tonga. Before he asked him, when they start to claim the empire, he asked him to save Tonga.
Yeah.
And like we mentioned it, Taufa Ahau was circumcised when he was young. And some people I asked around in early time when I start my research for the reverends, all the reverends, see if the kamo or circumcised was in Tonga before, and most of them say no, it just came with the missionaries, Christian missionary, and I said no. Taufa Ahau was circumcised before he became the king. But that's the thing, we have to know our history, not rely on the foreigners, because they don't know anything about our country.
So I guess it's very similar to what we were mentioning earlier about Lapita and Austronesian, right? If we were to rely on the West to tell us, they would say, oh, this is where circumcision came from. You guys didn't have it before. This is the origin. But if we fall back and look at our oral history and our culture and our practices from the past, we would be told, no, that practice existed before Christianity and the West came to Tonga. Just like the idea of Hikureo and Jehovah being the same person with different names at different times. Some people like to take the position, and they can, everyone has a right to believe what they want to believe. But we think there is more than enough evidence to show that Hikureo and Jehovah are the same God. And maybe that's a reason why Tongans and Polynesians in general embraced Christianity so quickly. and adopted it into their culture and their lifestyle.
Yeah, it was not much different between the Lotumui and Lotumua. Lotumua, that's an old religion, Tongan old
Religion.
religion. Lotumui, that's the new religion, the Christianity. But as Lotumua believe in Pulotu, the spiritual world, have a two part. One part is where the bad people in your life go to Pulotu Aka Aka. Eh? It's like hell. And Lotumua said, if Pulotu tu umau is mean it's not moving or it's calm. That's heaven. Eh? Pulotu Aka Aka is hell. Pulotu tu umau is heaven. We know these things before the Christian came to Tonga. And they name places to Pulotu tu umau and Pulotu Aka Aka, and they also name people Pulotu. And we have a tutu Tonga that was named Pulotu. See, I don't know, some people think I'm crazy to compare it to the Christian religion, but to me it's no different. Hell and Pulotu Aka Aka and Pulotu Mau is compared. That's heaven.
Well, if we believe that God is a God of all the people on earth and we are all his children, then why can't we say if he wanted to talk to one children, he can do so if he wanted to, So I'm open to the idea, and I think it has enough merit to be considered a possibility. The next one here, number 6, the Cholula Pyramid or Langi Hokula. As mentioned, the term Cholula is directly tied to the ancient name of Hokula. The Cholula Pyramid is found in Vaihi and is twice the size of the pyramids in Egypt. So we do have a kind of a diagram here, just kind of showing the magnitude and the size of the pyramid in Cholula versus the pyramid of Giza in Egypt.
They both pyramids, but the pyramids with stone and pyramids, that's only the mound, the Langi Mound in Tongan. They build it with only soil. And the mounds builders, the civilization from Vaihi, in Tonga they call it the red ants or Hamea. Hamea, that's the red ants. They build mounds. But that's the civilization Maui and Tangaloa brought from Vaihi, the mound builders. They started with soil, and later they built it with stone, the Langi. But see, Langi means sky. That's why some of the foreigners said Maui live under the land and Tangaloa live in Langi, the sky. And Hikureo live in Pulotu, they said to the west. But Pulotu is not Fiji like some researchers say Pulotu was in Fiji. And you guys talk about we have it in Tonga Empire and Pulotu Empire and the one in Samoa.
Yeah, the Tuimanua.
Tuimanua. That's only Tonga have the empire. But people, they don't understand our history. That's why they said it was in Fiji have empire. Fiji, they represent the West when you will die. You go to Pulotu, to the West. That's something, a lot of things the foreigners don't understand our history. We have to help them understand our history. What do you think?
Yeah, no, and that's one of the things that we've seen heavily in the program. The Westerners are really good to find an object and do the scientific test to see how old. They do a pretty good job with that. The academics have a problem is when they try to interpret how it fits in the history and the ideas. That's where I see they make a lot of mistakes. And the prime example a research and a presentation we did on the Tu'imanua residents on Ka'u Island in Ha'amoa, right? When they go and they do all that, here's the age of the rocks and the carbon dating on the fires. They're pretty good and things seem to make sense. But the moment they try to talk about the oral history and how, the Tu'imanua was 500 years old, it lasted over 400 years. And then they try to talk about how the Tu'imanua conquered Tonga in the 1500s. And then you're like, wait a second. That's when the Tonga was kind of at its peak. So how is it that the Tu'imanua, every time the academics try to navigate the oral history, it gets kind of weird, right? And it doesn't make sense. It's helpful if they just stick to the pottery and just tell us how old the pottery is, but don't try and get into the oral history and trying to make sense of it, because it just kind of gets weird.
Yeah, in 1500, 1700, that's when Captain Cook come to Tonga and he saw the Inasi. It's kind of funny when they talk about the Tu'imanuas in the 1500. It was, Tonga was in the 1200 AD. That's when they tried to kick out the Tongan king. They hide their weapons.
Fata or whatever, those two guys. Yeah.
Under the Umu. When they came to Tonga, they changed, don't make the Umu lie on his feet, the pigs. They make them count it.
Lay on its back.
Lay on the back and count it, lift up the pigs. And you see, when was the Manua Empire? It's kind of funny when the foreigners don't understand our history.
Kind of going along with what you said in some of the festivals. Here's another one, Red Festival, that I wasn't always familiar with, but the Katoanga Kula or Red Festival. This is an ancient practice or festival that the ancient Polynesian fathers brought from Vaihi. In ancient Vaihi, the homes of high priests and the kings were painted red, including the pyramids. During the Tu'itonga settlement in Mua, there was a man-made Sia or mound that was called Mo'unga Kula, specifically built for this festival. This is why red feathers were so significant throughout Polynesia, as it is tied directly to the ancient festival in Vaihi. This festival was later moved to Mala'ekula in Nuku'alofa. This move occurred when the capital moved from Mua to Nuku'alofa. Mala'ekula then became the burial ground for the Tu'ikanukupolu and the current kingly line at the head of Tonga today. So this was a festival that was practiced for many thousands of years.
Yes, they came from Vaihi. They see how important the red feather.
Yeah,
they decorate the fine mat for wedding, funerals, because how important the red feather. In every tribes in America, when the white men get over there, they have a red bows in every camp of the Indian people. See, in Hihifo side, they have a place they call red bows in Hihifo side.
On Tongatapu?
Yeah. The Mo'unga Kula was in Mua, and when they moved the capital to Nuku'alofa, that's when Mala'ekula started. It was very important, the red feather, the red color in the Tongan history from the beginning.
That's why we see the red feathers everywhere in Polynesia. Katoanga Polopolo and Inasi, that you mentioned that Captain Cook witnessed one of those. These festivals were also carried over from Vaihi to Tonga. These festivals involved all the islands of Polynesia. During these festivals, all the islands sent representatives and tribute to Tonga. When the King of Tonga established freedom for all Tongans in 1862, the ancient practice was abolished, and the king adopted the Christian practice of tithes. via Western money.
They don't use the polo with the food and koroa, eh? The Tongan mats and stuff. They change it for money. And it was kind of funny when they collect the money and they send it to Australia. And the Tongans stop it in Tonga.
I see. That's where the Chastonga Tauataina and all that Westiana Tauataina Tonga started because of that. I didn't realize, number one, how significant of a move that was, because what that allowed, not only just for the economics of it, but also for Tonga maintaining its independence, removed certain power from the Western governed religion, just like, like England. When England got tired of the Catholic Pope, they start their own church and religion, the Anglican Church. And I didn't realize until, reading and thinking about it, that was actually a very important move by Tonga to help maintain its independence, was to sever and have the governance of its own Christian religion to stay within Tonga.
Yeah. Why? Because they know everybody come and bring it the inasi to Tonga. Eh? And why they collect it in Tonga and the Palangi take it to Australia? They think our people are stupid.
Well, and I think, that's pretty hilarious, right? I mean, and that's what happens when you're used to being the capital of the empire. No. You see those things very quickly, and those things matter, right? When you're used to being the center, and when people start behaving in a way that's like, hey, if we're not the center, then we're at risk. So why are we sending it to Australia? We should just keep the money here. That's funny.
Yeah.
Another interesting thing just from our conversation as well is, I guess another way to look at polo and inasi was a tithe in the Lotu Mua, right? So this is kind of the thing that we're talking about, where you said there's a lot of parallels in the ancient religion and the new religion. So in a sense, they were the same in origin, from the same God, a lot of the same practices. And once again, if you look at the polo and the inasi as a tithe, you start to see that the Christian God's requests for tithe was an idea that people had been practicing for thousands of years. So it's an easy transition for the Polynesians and the Tongans to recognize that makes sense that we would give a tithe to God.
Why collect it in Tonga and send it to Australia? They use all the Polynesian islands, empire, come to Tonga and bring stuff to Tonga. Maybe we are dumb, but not that stupid.
Well, and what we said, I guess, was, if this God is the God of all of us, why do we have to send it to Australia when the same God over there is the same God we pray to over here? So just keep the money over here. Oh, that's funny.
This is
that's funny.
Island in Polynesia today.
Oh, and Masi was actually telling me that I guess even in Ha'amoa they have the Lotu Konga, the Lotu Tonga, because I guess the locals over there had attacked some of the Christians, and I didn't know this until Masi told me. But I guess Taufa Ahau and some of the guys went to Samoa to establish the Christians and make sure no one would harass them over there. And even to this day, they call it the Lotu Konga, which is, I guess, the Wesleyan or whatever church that Taufa Ahau helped establish over there. So interesting. So here's another one that another of the things that tie back to Vaihi and our origins, that we can push back on the idea of Lapita and Austronesia origin. The ancient is the calendar system. The ancient Tongan calendar was based on astronomical knowledge. The ancient Tongans brought from Vaihi to Polynesia. Any detail you want to add to that, Dad, on what that calendar was and how it worked?
The calendar, let's connect with the Hamonga. They know, they plan, do the fishing, everything connect with the time of the moon, the ocean, when they cut the yam, ke pula, to plant.
Yeah.
They know what the right time to do it. Like I said, the fishing, they know the time when
The fish,
kind
the
of
different
fish
types of fish.
they have to fishing. That's connect with the current, with the moon. And the funny thing, why our people get 13 months rather than 12? Because all the 12 months have a star. And the 13 months, it's called Ahau Kifangong. They collect all the days from other months and make it the 13 month. And there is no star for that 13 month. Only the 12 month have a star. That's why they said Ahau Kifangong. They collect all the days from the 12th month for a year to make it year. That's a 13 months.
Very interesting. So, a couple of things that come to mind is number one, the Hebrew calendar is 13 months, right? Which is another connection to Hikureo and Jehovah, but also, so they understood that there's 12 months, you can divide it, but in order to account for a full year around the sun, that there were leftover days, and it's the collection of those days is what generated the 13 month.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
That's how smart our people. All these things they came with from Vaihi.
From Vaihi.
Yeah.
And that's why we see Ha'amonga in Vaihi, Ha'amonga in Tonga Tapu.
Yeah.
It's because they're all exercising the same knowledge. We see mounds in Vaihi, mounds on Tonga Tapu and throughout Polynesia. We see pyramids in Vaihi. We see pyramids in Tonga. So, there's more than just Lapita. There's more than just pottery or an origin from Vaihi.
Yeah. It's not from Taiwan.
Here's another one. Is you mentioned it earlier, was circumcision or the kamu, right?
Yeah.
The Tongan practice of kamu or circumcision was brought to Tonga from Vaihi. Many foreigners claim that Tongans and Polynesians originate from Taiwan. However, all the Taiwanese and Chinese histories do not claim any long-lasting traditions of circumcision in their history. But yeah, so I mean, maybe they forgot that cultural practice when they were carrying the pottery was so heavy when they brought it from Taiwan that they forgot the kamu over there. Oh, but yeah, so that's another cultural history that doesn't align with Lapita and the Austronesian origin. Here's another one, and I know this is one that you've mentioned a few times. Is the Lotu, right? The religion.
Yeah.
The ancient Tongans brought the religious beliefs and practices from Vaihi to Tonga and established them throughout Polynesia. This is why Tongans have always believed in the afterlife. There were several important religious practices that were brought from Vaihi, such as pulotu, circumcision, mound building, lotus flowers, etc. Picture of lotus flowers. So Lotu. So the lotus flower is important to Vaihi and Polynesia. Kind of explain, I guess, the history of the lotus flower and its role in Tonga and Polynesia and the religion.
That's same thing. They lotus, Lotu or lotus, Lotu, in the swamp where they grow. The flower in the air that represents sky, Langi. The leaves in the water, they call it Lalofonua, Lolofonua. That's where Maui lives. And the roots from the bottom, they said that is represent Pulot. Because no one see Pulotu. But you see the leaves and you see the flowers.
Okay.
And it represent Langi. And some people think Tangaloa live in the sky. It's not the sky. That's the name of the mound he lived on, Langi.
It's a high place.
Yeah.
Which is also very interesting because, in ancient Hebrew, Moses and a lot of the prophets, when they went to go speak with God, they always went up a mountain. A lot of times they went up a mountain to speak with God. So very interesting symbolism and parallels, once again, between the ancient religion in Polynesia and the new religion of Christianity. You can say they're new and old, but there seems to be a lot of parallels. And even George Vason, when he observed the Tongans while he was there, he was really surprised how many of the practices, he even wrote down, many of the practices that the Tongans had was very similar to ancient Israel. And so, you can say it's coincidence, or you can say maybe there's a reason why a lot of the ancient religion had a lot of parallels to the new religion. And maybe there's a reason why Polynesians embraced Christianity, and especially Tongans. There's a lot of discussion lately about tattoos, right? I guess there's some controversy that some of the Samoans were upset. A Tongan singer or artist, whatever she is, she got a malu, which I guess is like the Samoan tattoo for girls on her legs, and she said, "Oh, it's a Tongan malu," and a lot of the Samoans were upset and said that that's only Samoa, and they shouldn't have done that. And so there's a lot of misunderstanding of our history, how we relate to each other, and what is actually is important and what unites us as a people. So the next one here is the Sia Mounds, or the earth mounds. The practice of building man-made earth mounds was a practice brought to Tonga from Vaihi. There are hundreds of thousands of documented mounds throughout Vaihi, and these are the only ones that have been documented. Undoubtedly, there must have been millions of earth mounds throughout Vaihi. Throughout Tonga and Polynesia, large man-made earth mounds were built for countless purposes, including burial mounds. In Tonga, the main island of Tongatapu, approximately 100.6 square miles of land, and there are more than 10,000 man-made Sia mounds that have been identified. So this is an actual picture of one of those scans, and each red dot is a man-made mound.
Yeah, that's from the research from Land Office.
So once again, another evidence of our origin from Vaihi is the practice of Sia mounds.
Yeah.
So 13th here is Langi Mound, stone earth, and earth mounds. Langis are the man-made mounds where the Tu'itonga resided. The practice of adding stones to mound building process did not begin until the 1100s or the 12th century. And here's a picture of one of the biggest ones, the Pai Telea.
Yeah, the Langi over there, the Samoan, they bring the Samoan to make it part of the engineer to build the Langi Mound. They said that Tu'itonga they didn't have a circumcised because of tapu of the blood for the Tu'itonga. The Langi Mound over there was built. There's no places in Tongatapu they can allow to get these stones. That's why they said it's come from out of island. For all the Langi in Tongatapu don't have a lot of places to get stone like that.
We saw a video of Uvea
Futuna anywhere.
Where there was a guy there. So someone from Futuna and Uvea, one of the locals, was telling them that they showed them some part over there where they said this is where they cut a lot of the rocks from in some of those areas, and it looks just like that, and it's right by the ocean. And he says, yeah, this is from their oral history. This is where a lot of those rocks were cut and shipped to Tongatapu for the construction work. These are like what, 5 to 20 tons each?
Yeah.
And even in today's construction, that's a lot of work. And we have equipment and machines to do all of that work, and it would still be very difficult just to move it 10 miles, let alone hundreds of miles over the ocean and
Yeah.
bring it over there.
They know what they were doing. It was not easy today because we have the equipment, machine.
Mm-hmm.
But these days they have a brain can do things. When we see it, it's hard to bring it hundreds of miles from other islands.
Mm-hmm. Not 100%. And once again, not obviously not on the scale of Vaihi, but this is where these ideas and these practices are coming from. I don't know of anything in Melanesia or Taiwan that says this is where these practices come from.
And Papayo Telea on the landfill for Nuatano.
Yes. Yes. And we actually did a study. We looked at a study that looked at that, and they said that because it was landfill, and maybe you can answer this question because this question did come up. On this landfill, they had to reinforce the ground because it was for Nuatano. They not only had to build this on top, but in order to, they had to reinforce the ground underneath. So we're talking about civil engineering. We're not just talking about just muscle to put the rock on top of each other. You're talking about an understanding of the properties of material, civil engineering, and how to reinforce the material that you would build on, right? So we're not just talking about the foundation. You're building the material that the foundation would go on to build it. Why did Telea build the Pai Telea on Fonuatanu or on that side of the road? Because that was the Tui Tangaloa side. So, but why? That was one of the things that didn't make sense to me is why did the Tui Tonga build on the wrong side of the road? Kauhala Tahi side.
Because the Tui Tonga can do whatever he want to do. That's the reason why they make the second line and the third line to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
Tui Tonga is the king, the tapu one. That's why they make the Poloporo and bring it to the Tui Tonga because he's the represent. He represent Hikuleo, the Tui Tonga. Do you know they have? Did you see the hole around? They have to put rocks underneath before they get the soil on the top.
Oh yeah, yeah. Not too far from where Lapaha and Tongatapu and Mua and Tatakamotonga start, where they have the big opening in the ground.
Yeah,
they were taking out the rock, the bedrock from there.
Yes, and use it underneath before they get the soil on the top.
And now that we're having that conversation, Mexico City, isn't Mexico City the same thing? They reclaimed the land, right? That used to be a swamp and lake, and they built Mexico City on top of that. So this type of behavior is also found in Vaihi, of civil engineering.
Yeah, see, they have this in Funuamotu. That started from there, where Carnival's home in Lapaha. That's where the idea start from. They dig the place to connect Funuamotu to the main island. That's where they start from. And keep going on. They get the idea and make more land.
Was there anyone who ever created a map of that Fonuatanu before? Was there anyone who ever created a map of the Fonuatanu before you did?
No, only the words.
The reason why I'm bringing it up is because I've seen other people pull up a map that I only remember from you ever having a map. I'm going to pull it up here real quick so we can look at it, at the map that you created.
Oh, the thing is, in the whole kingdom of Tonga, no one's stupid enough to do what I did.
That's funny.
It's kind of funny, kind of make me mad sometimes. I think there's a two guys, sometimes they make a comment about me. When I said the two school I went to, Kariloa and Tanoa, and they kind of say something what I did because nothing you can learn from the Kavatonga.
Oh yeah, well, only someone silly would say make a comment like that.
Because the Kavatonga, they don't understand which Kavatonga. I was very young to sit around the old folks, the wharefa, and you know when you go dig for gold or silver, there's a lot of work to do for you get a piece.
Yep.
You don't start it and you see a lot. No, it's a lot of work. The same thing. Sometimes people talk and finally something a little bit come out. That's my map.
Yeah. So this is how it was originally, where you have like the Langi here in this certain area, and there was an island that was
Yeah,
Fonuamotu.
yeah.
And so it was, and who lived on that island?
That's the first home for the Tangaloa.
Okay, so the Tuiha Takalauas lived there. And obviously, this is where the Kauhala Uta and the
And
Kauhala Lalo
Kauhalalalo
started,
start
right?
from.
So Kauhala Uta is all the Tuitonga,
Yeah,
right? And is this number 4 here? It's like Monu? What is this little island out here?
Mono, I think. Yeah,
Yeah. So it started like this. Tuiha Takalawa lives there. So obviously, he cannot come and take all this land because that's the Tuitonga on the Kauhala Uta side, right?
yeah,
So as the langi start growing, you see more langi. Sorry, I'm not going to blow it up, but you start to see all the langi of the Tuitonga being built
yeah,
over here, and they keeps growing. And then there's first is like a road, right? It's just a road that connected to the island of
yeah.
Fonuamotu.
That's where they first connected.
Oh, they dig the rock the first time. So as they build this road, then they're like, oh, you know what? Now that we got the road, why don't we just start filling it up with land?
Yeah, that's it.
And then they started to fill up, but they left, looks like they left the opening. Is that for boats to come in? Why is there
Yeah,
like a little opening for water still? Was it like a taulanga?
yeah.
Okay.
Coming to the Tuitonga.
This is what you were referring to earlier, right? These are not roads. This is where they dug up
The rock.
the rock and the soil to fill in all this land over here. Roughly 100 acres when you kind of rough out how much is all this land they filled in. And then so first they had an inlet here where the boats would come and dock, and then eventually they would fill it almost all in. And this is what it looks like today. This is no small effort. You weren't dealing with no dummies back then. Next one here is the Ha'amonga Maui. It says, this is the sun gate built by Maui, the great navigator who resided in Tonga. This sun gate serves as a tool and a token to practice and remember the ancient astronomical knowledge that allowed the Ha'amaui in Tonga to navigate the world. There are only 2 sun gates in the Pacific, one in Vaihi, South America, and one in Tonga.
Because the knowledge why they said we come from Taiwan and connect with the Melanesians, and no, nothing like that in Melanesian or Taiwan. But why they? Sometimes I think about the Taikamo.
I mean, this is the kind of connections that we're talking about when we're with all the things we're covering right now. We're not just talking about one thing of pottery and a couple words that seem similar. We're talking about behavior, tradition, science, religion, all of these things, multiple connections to Vaihi or the Americas rather
Yeah.
than Lapita and Austronesian language origin.
Because these people don't know anything. And the stupid Tongan listen to it. They just want their little piece of paper to make them become a man. They don't want to do hard work. They just want easy work to get a
Mm.
piece of doctor degree.
And like you said, not willing to ask a couple questions to be like, does that make sense?
See, the question when you grow up is a stupid one. Asks why I'm going to be buried on the Langi when I die. How many family in Moa have a Langi for their family? For someone to have it from 1500, the king start Malomaloa. His older son is Whangaoneone, and his name was Lomueke, and his younger son is Telea. And you see, I have a question in my mind when I was young, why I'm going to be buried on the Langi. How many people going to be buried on the Langi? We have our Langi. We're built from the 1500. It's not important for other people, but it was important for me why I go through all of these hard work for Tonga, because we are different. There's no family have something important to their family like us, and no one stupid enough. People go to school and come and work for money, and I came to America to study, and I didn't know I came over here to just go back and ask my granduncle to put the forth for advice, and he advised me. You know what did he say? I think
Yes. But for a new viewer, you should explain to them why this became your life work and what your great uncle told you.
the country Tonga is poor. We need help in every ways, and why I asked for advice, and he advised me to do that. And no one's stupid enough to keep doing work and spend money to do his own research. It's not the money only, the work, day and night. Watch the stars and try to put together the stars, and at least I done most of the work. That's something you guys have to help. Try to get two places to finish up our work. A place in Moa to explain the last capital of the Tuitonga, and one at the Hamonga. That's one of the things I am going to go ask to build the six. A little place at the Hamonga for a historical place over there.
For a site.
Yeah, but Lapaha is already okay because of in front of the Papaya to explain our history. That's something we need help.
And to kind of share this message and to let our people know that there's more than one way to explain. You don't just have to believe what the academia tell you. Next here on number 15 is Naza. Naza is an ancient name from Vaihi and was used to name a large city in Mexico with 4 million residents. The Tongan word for Naza is Nasa. The name Nasa is shared by many Tongans and Polynesians to this day.
Because they use it for names. For NASA, they use it for guys and also ladies. The beginning at the NASA. And they have last the end with another thing, but they have the NASA for Tongan names.
It's mostly used as a name of individuals, but its origin is from Vaihi.
Yeah.
And that's where that part of many Tongan names is referring to that.
That's the pyramids
In
in
Vaihi.
Vaihi.
Okay. The next one is Kari, right? Kari is an ancient name from Vaihi, and in Tongan is Kari. Kari became a very important word and name in Tonga. Kari is Polynesian's first form of education through the whispers of a mother while a child rests on the mother's forearm. A mother's forearm is also called Kari, and the Tongan word for pillow is Kari. So this is where the term Kariloa comes from.
Use it in Tonga, the first education school. And the second, our university is Tanoa, Maui Kawapo. I believe when you have these two education place, Kali and Tanoa, and you do good on it, you can be anything in this. I believe that because that's what I am. There's only two school I have education. You know, maybe I mentioned it to you guys from the Kariloa have a very strong will. There's six of us. I I got 3/4 of all the spanking from my parents. 3/4 and 1/4. The other five divide the one quarter of spanking.
That's why you have your master's degree in the Kariloa.
Yeah, because I was prepared for the job for me to do for the country. For someone that's stupid to find answer and do all the work day and night, I whaikawa every night, not only to do the whaikawa, because every time I walk outside, look up to the star. That's how I did my work. You hardly, once in a while, there's something, mentioned something, a click in my brain is I can
Use it.
use it. But the most of I had from the whaikawa, look up to the sky. And you know my map, no one have any map of the stars like what I have. That's how stupid I was.
Well, somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to do it. I appreciate that you did it. And that
Okay.
way, my wife and kids don't have to suffer. Yeah.
That's it. I can't believe what I did day and night. I'm lucky to still have your mom.
Well, that's why the Lord made sure you found the right one, because it's like, oh yeah, well, we need to find this guy, someone who willing to endure this pain and suffering. He's like, I know the one for him. All right. So number 17. This one I did not know until this article was the Vaihi term and practice of pib, underground oven, was brought to Polynesia and is called pipi, or more commonly umu in Tonga. The name pipi was used to name two plants in Polynesia. Pipi and umu also became names for people and places. But what's the history behind the term pipi?
Pippi, that's the Mayan name for oven. But in Tonga, they call it umu. And they use it for name too.
Okay.
Umu and Pippi. That's why it make me mad sometimes when they said, make a bad comment for me about my work, telling lies. They don't know. They think I'm, because that's all you have in Waikawa is joking and tell stories. They never take something. I was spending a lot of time with the old guys. You don't get it from the Waikawa of today.
Yes. And I think that's the problem, is when they think of Waikawa, they just think of like the young kids, people,
Kalapu.
kalapu type of Waikawa. They don't understand that there is another setting. There's a reason why they don't know of that other time. Is because they never had access to it and they could never understand it. So I guess that's one way, I guess, you can give them the benefit of the doubt is, well, I guess you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. But the people they got, you can get something from. It's not many left today. That's old folks when I was very young and come up to teenage and older, my 20s. These people over there, they don't around anymore. Even they have some people take the title.
but not the knowledge.
Yes, because they were not around the old folks to get what I got. Plus, the blood inside in our bodies, hardly anybody got it. That's the same thing when Danny told Nelly to get the camera before Pilolevu came over and talked to. When she was around with other
Oh,
tables until she got to them. Table they were at.
mm-hmm.
And Masi and I think Masi and Nelly, after when Pilolevu came and talked to Danny, and I think Danny kind of explained how we connect at the royal family site. They were surprised when Danny kind of explained to them. My grandma Malia was first cousin with Tupo the Fourth and the Tuiperhake. And Grandma Malia's dad was older than Tupo the Fourth and Tuiperhake's father. And I think that's why the blood in my veins make me stupid to do what I did. Work hard to get money to spend it on something.
That may have been the reason why your work had to be done at the time that it needed to be done, is because there was a generational change, and in many ways it was the last opportunity to try and capture a lot of that knowledge. And really, if it wasn't captured then, it would have been lost for forever. So I think there's a reason why things happened the way that they happened, because it was basically it was the last chance to kind of record some of that history, and that's why you were allowed to access some of those things from a very young age. Because like you said, the title many times is just a name and a title. Without the knowledge, that's really what makes a title more valuable, is the knowledge that it comes with. And so without that knowledge, in many ways, that title is diminished, and the culture itself loses a lot if that knowledge is not transferred. All right. So number 18, Sipa. Sipa was known in Polynesia as Sipa. Sipa was a well-known Mayan king who would cover his body with gold flakes and then would rinse the gold flakes off by jumping into a body of water. The name Sipa in Tonga and Polynesia has been used for 3,000 years and still exists today. Is this once again like primarily a name of people, or is there locations in Tonga that have the name, or in Polynesia? How was this term or this king remembered, and why was that so important?
Because of when the European heard about the story about the gold,
Mm,
and they really, it was a big thing for the European, for someone to use the gold dust on his body before he jumped in the river, in like a lake, But why our people use that name for all these years? They use it, the name for men and women. Think about, they said our language come from Southeast Asia,
mm-hmm.
from Taiwanese. And we have a lot of names in our culture and everything from Vaihi, but no one know it. That's what make me mad sometimes. I think there's two guys, once in a while they make a comment about the work. They don't know how much work, day and night, design stuff, watch the stars. Plus, I am a farmer. I learn how to cut
Mm.
the yam for pula. And we plant a lot. And people don't realize I went to America. I was already a man. People worked for me to have about 40 acres, our land, I planted a lot of bananas when I was teenage all the way up to 20s when I left Tonga to go to Provo. My record in Provo, I don't think there's any Tongan have the same record. I get to America in 75, the end of 76. I have the first little home we have. In 77, my whole life, I always have money in my pocket. Start when I was teenage all the way up until I left Tonga to America. And I know this why I can do the expenses money to pay tickets going and two different things because my study I was doing it all these years, but the main thing is spending money and I can handle it. And when we went to Tonga, came over to Hawaii in 2003, and 2004, the end of and 2005, we have a little home in Hawaii. No one can handle it. I spend my time doing this work for Tonga. And look at you guys, almost all of you guys have a good education. And I think God help our family.
That was exactly what was going through my mind. Is the Lord takes care of those who do the work that He's asked them to do. So, because I think I was talking with someone, if you look it from a Western or a academic or even just a human perspective, the decisions and the choices that were made, like you said, lucky to find mom to stick around, right? For the hardship. I mean, it's the same thing. A lot of people thought, why you and mom going backwards, go to Tonga when everyone is trying to get out of Tonga to get opportunity and we are going in the wrong direction, right? A lot of people thought like, oh, the your guys' kids are gonna suffer, going to a third world country. How are they gonna, survive? And look, the Lord blessed you and mom and the family because those were hard choices, hard decisions, a lot of hard work. But I think you and mom followed what you felt your heart was telling you, which you felt is what the work that you guys should be doing. So to me, you look at, like Jesus said, look at the fruits. Can't argue with the fruits. The fruits seem to say you guys were doing what you guys should have been doing. Can't argue with that. And that's one of the things, like you're saying, a lot of people don't seem to understand is it's not just it's not just doing this work, but it comes at a cost and still raising a family. I'll never forget what Auntie Noah said. People don't realize how expensive it is to be a Tongan. To for the all the
Correct.
kavenga and the responsibilities. It's not just the work, and I think people will underestimate the work itself. If I were just to isolate the work, the time, the energy, and the investment it takes to do the work that you did, that's one thing. That's a hard mountain to climb. What makes it exceptional and even more rare is, yes, you did that work, which from all intents and purposes looks like your life work, what you were called to do. But at the same time, still take care of a family, help them grow. And I've lost count how many great grandchildren or grandchildren you have now. Then there's also your responsibilities to the family, the extended family, not just a nuclear family, but the extended family, and to take care of all those things. Anyone who understands one of those things would be very hesitant to point a finger at the work that you've done, even if they only understand one of those three things. Now, if they understood all three, they wouldn't say a thing. And we're not saying that your work is perfect. We're just saying anyone who understands those three areas of responsibility and what it takes to succeed in all three of those areas or to at least do your best, not even succeed, just to do your best. People who understand those things wouldn't say certain things if they understood it. So when they say what they say, there's a couple things we can understand. They don't appreciate the sacrifice it takes, and then number two, they don't understand what it takes to accomplish those things. So that's why for me, I doesn't really bother me they say that, because really all they're doing is revealing themselves. And this is an article from Tevita Fale's website. It's thfale.com. He has many articles there. We encourage people to go and look at it. But I'll just mention a couple of these because we're looking at the time. We're almost hitting the 2-hour mark. There's Muna, there's Manoa, Chuachi. Anything of those that you wanted to talk about specifically? Or do you want me to keep going through the...
I'll keep going for the list.
Okay.
Manoa.
You want me to read that one?
Yeah.
A well-known story in South America from the 1500s known as the City of Gold. This name and word was brought by ancient Tongans from Vaihi to Tonga, spread throughout Tongan history. This word also became a name for people in places throughout Polynesia. And then the example is Manoa in Hawaii.
Yeah, it was named people from Manoa, eh?
Mm.
And also, it was a very known name, Manoa, in Vaihi. And they use the same thing. See, Manoa is a lot of guys. Most of the guys call Manoa. And the Manoa, there's another meaning, many meaning for Manoa. And it's one of the main name, well-known name of people of Manoa.
Here's another one is Chuachi, which you tie to the name of Kawashi, which is tied to Peru. Naza Pyramid or Langi Naza in Ecuador.
Yeah.
Erinitsa Pyramid, where you said Eti, Etina, and Etina.
Yeah, there's a 3 names in Tongan come from that pyramid.
From that word, yeah. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I know there's another article that you have for the fruits and names of food that come from Vaihi. But I mean, this I think covers a good background. And once again, with this idea of Lapita and Austronesian language origins, and with Moana, nothing against Moana, the movie. I think it's good. I'm going to take my kids to watch it. Well, not take them. We're going to buy it when it comes out on Amazon. It's too expensive to take all my kids. We thought about it, but after we looked at the price, we're like, oh yeah, we're going to stay home. We're going to stay home and wait for the movie.
Little Nelly already go see.
That's what's nice. Lucky Nelly, she went and go and see the movie. But I think this was an important episode to really, considering that the Moana story is coming out and the idea of Lapita and the Austronesian origins, to just kind of talk about what the other side of the story is, which is our oral history and all the different parts of our culture that points towards Vaihi, and that we don't have to just accept academia for what they say to be the only answer. But with that being said, Dad, any closing comments? You can have the last word, and then we'll close out the show. But last word comes from you.
There's something. It's nice the foreigners work on it, but our main job is to bring our side, not only the foreigner side, because they don't know our history. They just come up with the ideas in 1900. It's about 70 years to 90 years. The language
idea.
Yeah. But to let the listener to know, we know our history from generation to generation for thousands of years. And we have to do the work to tell the Palangi, sorry, but you don't know our history. We might not have a talk like you guys, But you are foreigners. You have to dig deeper for our history. We may be dumb but not stupid. For you guys to help come and teach us about our history. Koyabe, thank you.
Thank you very much, Fale, for joining us. Once again, I know people will be excited when this comes out because they've been waiting for it. I appreciate everyone's time and support on the Polynesian Eyes podcast. And until next time, as always, stay curious and ask the hard questions. Mahalo and peace.
Yeah.